The inflation is going to come in. I think the rich are going to get filthy rich. I think the poor are still going to be poor because if you look at the poor people just live off of the government. So the government's going to increase their money enough to live, same as they do now, and nothing will change with it. They'll get extra money to buy their food, they'll get extra money to buy their clothes, they'll get extra money to pay their utilities, they'll get extra money to buy their house. They're just going to exist.
The largest ever universal basic income study has some really, really bad results. So first off, what is a universal basic income, or UBI? A universal basic income is a system similar to Social Security in which all citizens of a country receive a set amount of money on a regular basis. This money is typically provided by the government. So why is it that a study that aimed at highlighting all the positives that a universal basic income would provide to people ended up with very bad results? Before doing the research for this video, I had no idea that a UBI is not entirely free and that the benefits of a UBI may not outweigh the negatives. Watch to the end of the video to find out why a universal basic income is not all it seems cracked up to be, and what the long-term consequences of a UBI may actually be.
You think that there's a real problem with like something like a universal basic income? You think it's a horrible idea?
Well, I think the idea that the solution is a basic income is not a good idea, because I think the problem is deeper than that. I don't think the fundamental problem is that people don't have enough money. I think the fundamental problem is that human beings in some sense are beasts of burden, and if they're not provided with a place where they can accept social responsibility, social and individual responsibility in an honorable manner, they degenerate and die. That's the opiate crisis in the West right now. Like men who are men don't need money. They need function.
You have been a proponent of UBI, Universal Basic Income. In the context of AI, can you describe your philosophy there of our human future with UBI? Why you like it? What are some limitations?
I think it is a component of something we should pursue. It is not a full solution. I think people work for lots of reasons besides money. And I think we are going to find incredible new jobs, and society as a whole and people's individuals are going to get much, much richer. But as a cushion through a dramatic transition, and as just like, I think the world should eliminate poverty if able to do so. I think it's a great thing to do as a small part of the bucket of solutions. I helped start a project called WorldCoin, which is a technological solution to this. We also have funded a large, I think maybe the largest and most comprehensive universal basic income study.
Now, that was Sam Altman, and as he said, they funded the largest universal basic income study ever. The results of the study are actually in, and here they are. Sam Altman's basic income study is out. Here's what is found. And it's not all good. The results of OpenAI's CEO Sam Altman's guaranteed basic income study are in, and that's the creator of ChatGPT. Overall spending increased, but most of the extra cash went to food and rent. Recipients noted decreased financial stress, but that faded over time, the study found. The results are in for Sam Altman's much-anticipated basic income study. One of the largest of its kind, if not the largest ever, the experiment gave low-income participants $1,000 a month for 3 years, no strings attached. Recipients put the bulk of their extra spending towards basic needs like rent, transportation, and food, the study found. They also worked less on average, but remained engaged in the workforce and were more deliberate in their job searches compared to a control group. Recipients had a greater agency to make decisions that worked best for their lives and to prepare for the future, from moving neighborhoods to expressing interest in new business adventures, the report's author said. Altman, the CEO of OpenAI, a leading artificial intelligence company, raised $60 million for the study, including $14 million of his own money. Open Research conducted the study, which was led by researcher Elizabeth Rhodes. It officially began in 2019 when 3,000 Texas and Illinois residents across urban, suburban, and rural areas enrolled. All of these residents had incomes below $28,000 a year. A third got $1,000 a month for 3 years, while the rest, the control group, got $50 a month. No enrolled participants lost their existing benefits. The study found that those who received the $1,000 payments increased their overall spending by an average of $310 a month, but most of that spending went towards food, rent, and transportation. They also offered more financial support to others in need compared to the control group. Researchers, however, said that they found no direct evidence of improved access to healthcare or improvements to physical and mental health among those who received the $1,000 payments per month. We do see significant reductions in stress, mental distress, and food insecurity during the first year, but those effects fade out by the second and third years of the program. The report said, noting that $1,000 a month could only do so much. Cash alone cannot address challenges such as chronic health conditions, lack of childcare, or the high cost of housing. So, as we can see here, the UBI did not have positive benefits for people. It only resulted in the poor becoming even poorer because now they worked fewer hours.
They do. Then you're going to look at the middle class. The government's going to probably come in and give universal basic income or something like that. I think it's coming. You know, they've been looking at it and talking about it for the last 10 years. So I think eventually universal basic income is going to come, and that's just going to make people even worthless, more worthless. Because why do I want to work? If I can get by without working, why do I really want to work? And in my attitude, there's so much more out there. You know, I need to work to be disciplined. I need to work to keep my sanity. The government's going to intervene with that to make sure that everybody don't lose everything, and that is going to give us even more class warfare because the middle class is going to get poorer.
I mean, guys, notice that in the study, it found that mental health did not improve. Physical and mental health did not improve. They said mental distress went down, but mental health, in other words, psychological problems that are typically linked to people struggling with things such as poverty, it did not help in any of that. It did not help the people to afford better childcare. It did not help. It did not result in people working more hours. It resulted in people working fewer hours, and all the benefits of receiving a UBI faded over time. There's a thing called the universal high income, which has been proposed by Elon Musk, but even then, you know, that would not be extremely beneficial. The concept with the universal high income is that everyone would receive a larger amount of money. So instead of receiving only $1,000 a month, people may receive $5,000 a month. And that would be enough to, let's say, cover the cost of rent, cover the cost of food, cover the cost of healthcare. But do you see where we're going? If you are receiving $5,000 a month, you're not going to receive Medicaid from the state, and it typically costs over $400 a month to pay for health insurance on average. So that works out to $4,800 a year per person. So you'd be spending $5,000 a year at minimum for healthcare, and it depends on how sick you are and how old you are. If you're in your 40s and you have pre-existing health conditions, your healthcare costs, your health insurance costs could be anywhere from $700 to $1,000 a month or more. There are some people who spend thousands of dollars a month for healthcare because of their health conditions. So if you fall into that break, you could be spending $10,000 a year there. The cost of living, the cost of renting an apartment or a place is not going to go down. A lot of people are spending in places like, forget about New York, $3,000 is cheap. All right, people are getting together, renting out apartments in New York, and and each putting in $3,000 to essentially just rent a room. So where the rent is like, there's 4 rooms or 3 rooms, and it's like they're spending $9,000 to $12,000 a month collectively. Okay, so just to be roommates. So it's really crazy what's happening. So if you're living somewhere and your rent is $3,000 a month and you're receiving a universal high income of, especially with the inflation continuing to rise, and it's only going to result in inflation even going higher, you're spending $3,000 a month to rent an apartment or pay your mortgage or whatever, that's $3,000 gone right there. That's only going to result in the rich getting richer, because you're never going to be able to afford a house. So all of that, so a large part of that money now goes in rent. And then what about food? Let's say $1,000 a month in food. What about utilities? You see where I'm going with this? What about healthcare? So by the time all of those things are paid for, you have no money left, and you're going to be incentivized to not work. Most people are going to say, well, I have this money coming in, so why should I go out there and stress myself out and have to and work for anything extra when I can just stay home, avoid everyone around me, avoid people in general, and then live my best life that way? Sure, I'm basically just living well above the, just above or almost below the poverty line, but to society, to the government, you're doing great. You're getting $60,000 a year of free money, so why wouldn't you be thriving? Well, it incentivizes people not to work, and since it incentivizes them not to work, they don't work, and things get worse.
Government give you money to live?
I don't think we're gonna have a choice.
This might sound crazy, but the idea is being tested in cities and countries around the world. See, imagine a big pot of money that the government uses to fund all sorts of things, like schools, roads, and hospitals. This pot is filled with money from taxes. But now imagine that the government decides to start a new program where it gives everyone in the country a certain amount of money every month, no matter how much money you already make. This is called universal basic income, and it may be coming. Elon Musk thinks it's inevitable. The government will eventually just be paying us to live, since technology will be handling every job. Some economists predict that AI will replace hundreds of millions of jobs in the biggest transformation of work since the Industrial Revolution. But during the Industrial Revolution, millions of jobs were replaced with new jobs. Now, some studies say the majority of jobs in the next decade don't even exist now. But you have to wonder, is this time different than the Industrial Revolution? Because AI will advance faster than any human brain. So will AI save any work left for us?
Guys, we have our answer. We absolutely have our answer. A universal basic income initially may help people to address basic needs such as food and shelter. However, within a short period of time, those benefits go away as the money from the UBI is used to replace the income that people would have originally earned to pay for those expenses. It leads to poor people becoming dependent on that income and incentivizes them to work less, thereby having less disposable income than they would have had if they had not received the UBI in the first place. Ultimately, all signs point to the UBI as being a colossal failure, and its cousin, the universal high income, which would give people enough money to cover all of their expenses, ultimately leading to greater poverty for everyone who receives them and tries to live off them in the long term. Ultimately, I believe that the UBI or UHI, Universal High Income, are not about kindness, but rather they're about control. Yeah. Guys, if you're enjoying the content, consider subscribing to my newsletter for my personal thoughts and insights, and to get a free copy of my ebook, The Blueprint for Escaping the Rat Race. Click the link in the description to get your free copy of that and to subscribe to my newsletter. And also, guys, consider joining the Angry Guy community on Locals for exclusive content, or if you just want to support the channel, by going to angrygalaxy.com or by clicking the link in the description of this video. What do you guys think regarding all of this? The largest ever universal basic income study results were really, really bad. Let me know your thoughts, and we'll talk about it in the comments. Like the video if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you like the video, share the video. And just remember that all roads lead to MWA, men walking away. And cheers.